There's a David Bowie song called I'm Afraid of Americans. And every time I heard it, it made me laugh. It's an anti-American song. It bitches, moans, and groans about the American way of life, the points of view that Americans might have. It's the same thing as Rammstein's song America. You know, we're all living in America, America. And even Green Day's song, American Idiot. The interesting thing about Green Day is they're American. Now, my perspective on that is if you don't like anything having to do with the United States, don't visit. And you damn sure don't have to engage with Americans, because most Americans, we're not going to sit here and have a debate or an argument with you. We simply don't care about the opinions of others. My name is Howie. This is Positively Portugal. Let's get into it. So you might be wondering why I'm talking about this today. Well, for the first time, no, the second time in my life, and the first time since I moved to Portugal, I got discriminated against today for being American. And the situation was just bizarre right from the get-go. I went to a bar here, a local bar that I usually go to every week, and Superbach was running some kind of a promotion there. They had some cover band from Lisbon doing a concert, and they had some kind of a game where you threw bottle caps into cups, and if you get it in the cup, you win like a Superbach bag or some other Superbach crap. And I made a joke with one of my friends that, hey, in the United States, when a beer company comes to a bar, it usually means that people are getting free beer. And we laughed about it. And that really offended one of the people who Superbach hired. And says to me, well, this isn't the United States. And I looked at him like, okay, well, why don't you go grab a seat? And he says, and you should stop. You should have your government stop selling guns to its people. And I looked at him like, I wasn't going to engage and say anything like, well, the government is actually not selling guns to its people. What I said was, well, you know what? Maybe they should do that here. And I said that just to piss him off, because I don't engage with people like that. I don't argue with people like that. The same way that I say that issues in Portugal are not any of my concern because it's not my country and that I'm a guest here. Well, Americans don't give a shit what non-Americans have to say. And that really upset him. I saw his face turning red and I just walked past him. I ignored him. 5 minutes later, the guy's gone. I don't know if he just walked out on the job that he got hired for, or his coworkers told him to, go take a walk or something, but he was gone. I didn't see him again. And I stayed out there for more than an hour listening to this cover band play a concert. I'm going to say this here. There's a reason why Americans are permitted to have guns. And I know that the common thought amongst non-Americans is, well, Americans say that they need it for self-defense. Well, maybe some people do, but that's not the reason why guns are legal in the United States. The reason Americans are allowed to have guns is to use against their own government when they feel that the government has gotten out of control. So this is something that is clearly not the business of any one American. And the interesting thing is that the United States has more people than all of Europe combined. So what makes anyone think that one American person is responsible for setting the policy, or that they blindly agree with everything that goes on in the United States? If you've listened to my channel, you know that I'm very proud of being American, but there's a lot of shit that I don't like in the United States, and that's why I'm here in Portugal now. You want to talk about gun issues? Well, yeah, I'm sorry, but I believe that Americans should be able to have guns. And if the government ever gets out of control, then Americans should be able to use it on the government. Because that's how the United States was founded. We didn't like when we were colonies of Great Britain or the United Kingdom, whatever the hell you want to call them. So we declared independence. We went to war with Great Britain, and we won. And not too long after that, there was another war, the War of 1812. And the United States won that war as well. And standing beside us, fighting beside us, was France, a European country. And now years later, and I'm not going to say in 2025 because obviously this was well beforehand, Europeans or people not from the United States are offended that the United States allows its citizens to have guns. It's not your business. And then the next logical step is people talk about the mass shootings in the United States. The gun laws have nothing to do with that. Almost all of them, the overwhelming majority of these mass shooting incidents are not from legal guns. It's more of a mental health issue. And that's something that we are piss poor at. That's something that I'll freely admit to anybody. The United States sucks at mental health issues. But these are two issues that have nothing to do with each other. Gun rights and mass shootings. And I'm sorry if you're somebody who's not American and you want to correlate these things. You want to say, well, it makes sense, 2 + 2 = 4. We don't have the rights to have guns in Europe. But yeah, trust me, you handle mental health a lot better than we do in the United States. And I'm just astounded that I would be the one to take responsibility in this lunatic's mind, that I'm the representative, that I'm the ambassador of the United States to Portugal, because I'm not. You want to know how little I know about Portugal? I don't know the name of the president. I don't know the name of the prime minister. I don't know which one has more authority. I don't know what parties either of these people belong to, because it has no effect on my daily life. The same way that what goes on in the United States has no bearing on the lives of anyone not from the United States. And I said this is the second time that this had happened to me. The first time was back in 2006. I met some idiot from Hungary, and we had a similar conversation, but he wasn't even complaining about anything in particular like our gun rights. It was just like, well, I don't like you because you're American. Okay. And maybe that's one of the fundamental differences between Europeans and Americans. Here in Europe, there's the European Union. I guess that all the neighbors here are close with one another. Maybe a French person cares what a German person has to say. Maybe a Spanish person cares what an Italian person has to say. Maybe a Dutch person cares what a Portuguese person has to say. Well, guess what? In the United States, we can't stand our neighbors. We don't like Mexico. There are over 10 million illegal aliens from Mexico in the United States, and even more not from Mexico, but travel through Mexico to get to the United States. We couldn't care less what Canada has to say. If you ever want to know what's going on in the United States, turn on a Canadian television channel. Go to the website of the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. You'll find that every story there is about the United States. Apparently, there's nothing going on in Canada. Well, you know what? I've been to Canada a handful of times in my life, and I can tell you, there's nothing going on in Canada. But the point I'm trying to make is I am not the person representing the United States, and no American, whether they're an expatriate like I am, or a tourist in general, is representing the United States. There are 340 million plus Americans, and they all vote different ways. For you to say anything to anyone about the policy of another country, whether that be the United States or any other country, is the most idiotic thing that you could do. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. If you want more videos about moving to Portugal, the process of getting here, Portuguese football, anything Portugal related, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the bell for notifications. These are the best things you can do to help a content creator on YouTube. I want to thank you all for watching. And, you know, the old saying, think before you speak. Yeah, it's true.